All right, everyone, welcome along. So it's time we had that conversation, isn't it? Really talking about Copilot and what it's going to bring to the table. I think it's a really good time for us to have that debate because it's been really a year since Copilot was launched. Microsoft are really heavily pushing it now, and we're starting to see more Copilot enabled devices coming through. So, what does it do for your Power Platform side? Is it a benefit? Is it a curse? Is it something that you're going to use regularly? And if so, is it something that you're actually going to really see a good return on that investment that you're really going to have to put in to get it on board within your business? If you like what you see, remember, we're Geordie Consulting. We're always here helping our customers to get the most out of their Power Platform environment and to push their Power Platform projects as far as they want. If you think you want to hear from us or you want to work with us, send us an email, office@geordieconsulting.co.uk, and we'll be glad to help you. So Copilot, let's cut on over and have a look and see really what it brings to the table. So what does Microsoft Copilot actually bring to the table? Microsoft Copilot is their own generative AI engine, okay? And generative AI engines, effectively it's like what comes next. So what's the next word in the sentence? What should the next line be in the code that we're going to generate? Okay, and it learns from looking at historics, which then effectively helps it build a probability model so that the next is going to be this. 99% of the time, this would be the best use or the best word to put next. Effectively, yeah. It's a lot more complicated to that, but that's basically the way it works. So because of that, and because it's gone through and learned from a raft of historic knowledge, one of the things that AI can do at the moment, and is very good at, is it can write very good code, okay? And that's really what we use it for. And we use it for DAX, for M, and for Python. And we might try with R. Let's put a question mark in there. Not really used it with R yet, but we might give it a go, okay? So it's very good at writing the code. That's one of the things that it really excels at, is kind of like, there's only so many ways you can write stuff. Like, I've been writing code now for well over 20 years, gosh, showing my age. And I'll be honest with you, I remember back in the early 2000s when I was writing lots and lots of VB scripting, and it was Microsoft Scripting Kit, what we used to use. So that was an online tool, you'd go and download it, and then amazingly, it was brilliant. They released an archive of it, and you could just go and search locally for it. Brilliant. Effectively, all AI is doing is allowing it to search that archive and look based on some contextual elements that you bring to the table about it. So it's kind of like stopping some of that legwork that you would have to do in terms of going, well, right, I need to do this. How are we going to piece it together? Right, then I need to handle what that's going to be and that. It actually has the capability of taking that more holistic view of an overview and starting to develop something. However, in there lies the problem. What AI is terrible at, and it's really bad at, is being complete. Okay, is it complete what you've got? And I'll show you an example because we had a real gotcha moment that, if I'd been inexperienced and just using it, potentially I could have kiboshed my whole project. So there's definitely things like that that we need to be aware of and that we need to understand this is the challenge. And in there lies the problem that we're going to find with AI. Okay, so AI allows, let's write this down. It allows people with limited experience to develop. And I'm not meaning that in a negative way, okay? So in theory, you could go and you could do quite a complicated project based on just, I'm going to put a few prompts in and get the results out and do it. But the challenge and the problem with it is it's here, isn't it? It's the experience. And this is one of those things where it's a problem. And it takes me back, okay, to a conversation I had, and this was over 10 years ago now, probably 13 plus years ago. And it was with a SQL DBA, right? SQL DBA. So what you used to have to do for if you're a big company, and in some ways you probably still do have to do it really, but a SQL DBA, so a database administrator, was effectively running and would be the one who would make sure that your business kept running. Okay? And the database servers that all your business applications ran on were maintained by these people. And 9 times out of 10, you'd kind of go, well, why am I paying this person like a huge salary when all they're really doing is nothing because it all works? And so you say, well, yeah, we'll get the consultancy in. Do you know, we can save you money, get rid of your DBA. So you get rid of the DBA, they come in the next day and, none of it's working. It's not the DBA's fault that none of it's working. It's all the stuff and the scripts and the management stuff that they put in place to run and maintain and manage stuff so that you never see it. That's the experience side. Okay, experience is the key. So it's great you can develop all this code, but if you don't understand the code, how can you really make sure that you're doing the right thing with it? All right, so here we are, okay, Copilot. And what we can do, let's zoom in a little bit so we can see here, right, is you're simply typing in a prompt. So if I paste in this prompt, create a Power Query calendar from the 1st of January 2000 to the end of 2024 with a month-year column and a yearly offset column based on the current date, okay? So, sorry, monthly offset column. So we've kind of got a really basic view of what we want for a calendar, okay, to get us started. And we said we want it in M script. So it's gone away, it's going to come through, and here's my script at the bottom, okay, that is written. So really, we've got this. That here is all the script that we would need to copy and paste into Power Query or into a Power BI model. Now the challenge, the issue that you have here, okay, is, let's get the right thing zoomed in. There we go. Okay, if we look through here, right, what we don't actually have is any step defining the column data types, right? So is it a text column? Is it a date column in particular? So the net result of using this is that it will go in and it will place all the columns as text. Most importantly, or most critically, the biggest issue you'll face is that it will mean that your date column is a column of text. So you wouldn't necessarily be able to use it as just, well, this is actually my column of dates. It's not going to work properly for you, well, it's text. That's something that you need to know. I'm looking at something, it's all text. If you just went, I've never used Power BI before in my life, I've gone through, I've done this, and it's produced text, it's a problem. What we actually did with this as well, though, is because I'll go through with the example we went through before with it, was I went through and I got it to add a few additional things to it. So I got it to add things like day of the week, month name, corporate calendar as well, based on some things. And then because we've got these parameters effectively at the top, we were able to have added an additional one for our corporate month. What month of the year do we start with? We could do day of week. And we can then package that and place that up on our GitHub site for you to have a look at if you want to use it. But the key thing is each time, effectively just saying, if we zoom in here, say, now add week number based on the last day of the week. Okay, so we're saying, based on where the last day of the week is, what week number would it be? The key thing, okay, is that AI will do a lot for you, but you have to have that level of understanding to unpick and deal with those challenges as they come through. So as we said, we're putting this all together and making it all available on our GitHub. We've got a sessions GitHub area or repository, which is where we're putting any decks or anything like that we do as part of our sessions. I'm going to go back through our historic stuff and have a look and see if can it stand on its own. If it can, we'll place it up here as well. But here's our calendar. It's one of those things I'd always recommend people, have a calendar table. You'll always start with one when you get to a new business. For us as a consultancy, for you as a new Power BI developer, get one. Okay, make sure all your Power BI content is using the same calendar. Make sure there's only one in use across your business. This is a great starting point for you if you want to use it. If you don't want to use it, that's fine. Use something different. But it's here, it's made available to you, it's for free. So what do you reckon then? Okay, the issues and benefits that you get with Copilot, they are huge, they are significant. Okay, the benefits really are good though. Okay, for us, we're using it more and more. I know for me, in terms of that calendar that I built, obviously we've got one already. And in terms of what I went through with the different prompts, adding bits and pieces into it, it probably took me longer than copying our corporate calendar through and using that for the demo. However, there were elements that it was doing that are different to how I would have done it or how I did it when I built our calendar. Admittedly, I built our calendar 5 years ago or so, okay? And I review it periodically, not in great detail. So it's forced me to revisit the whole thing. So it's more efficient now than it was before. There are some things that are nicer in it, I think, than I would have done it as well, in terms of, there's a different way of doing that. That's not how I would have approached that challenge. That's not to say what I would have done or what you would do is wrong. It's just saying, there's that piece that it might do it differently. And I might look at it and go, my way's better, or, your way's better. And we can do that. But one of the things with Power Query especially is the syntax of Power Query is a real headache, okay? And so I know if I'm writing a Power Query statement from scratch, I am more than likely going to have to go back and forth and tweak a few things and check and go, this should be uppercase, it's lowercase. Oh, that's a integer that should be treated as text. All these little things that you'll just that go through and slow you down. Having Copilot just stop that. So that's where the efficiency saving is for me, especially with Power Query. With DAX, it's a bit less because DAX isn't case sensitive and it's one of those ones that I know a lot more off the top of my head. But it's again useful. Python, they're useful. So overall, I think AI has a future. It's definitely well worth using. The issue that you will have is you need to be aware of what you're putting in there. So what you can see is I've not really put anything corporate in there. If you are putting corporate information into your AI generative tools, you run the risk of that being used by the model. Okay, Copilot is not supposed to. That's one of the things Microsoft are very clear about, especially in the paid side of things. But I wouldn't necessarily trust it. So I would always just use it functionally. What's the function I'm trying to produce? And that would very much steer what we use it for. So I hope you found that useful as a bit of a whistle-stop discussion about Copilot. Let us know your views as well down below. Tell us, am I right? Am I wrong? Is Copilot the way to go? Have I completely missed the point? For now though, stay safe, take care, ta-da.